Like a Christmas present, so-called Peters report was released. U.S. Senator Gary Peters is a Democrat from Michigan. He's a chairman of the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee. And this report called Mislabeled as a Threat, how the terrorist watch list and government screening practices impact Americans. This report confirms the dramatic growth in opaque U.S. watch listing that infringe on American civilians' rights and liberties, something that we've been talking about since the beginning of this year. Inside this report, terrorist watch list was shown to have 4 categories, not 3. So no-fly list, selectee list, expanded selectee list, and the exception records. The exception record is something that, Anna, you put in the lawsuit. So please tell me if you feel vindicated.
Absolutely. So that is what the statement under penalty of perjury by Mr. Groh saying there are a few exceptions, except that now we know because they have admitted that only 0.5% of the watch list is Americans, and the watch list per se is comprised of the known and suspected terrorists. That is the 2 million. So yeah, the exception records, that's what we want to talk about, because the exception, as we have said all along, is not an exception, it's the rule. And it's the majority of the people on the terrorist screening database, and it's comprised of non-investigative subjects, also known as targeted individuals.
The report talks about 22 screening mechanisms that could impact traveler experience. Now we're finding 7 categories related to TSDB.
It's a complete, I would say, abuse of the administrative power, which is something that right now is before the Supreme Court too. The administrative state and its so-called Chevron rule, which is a challenge that they're doing to the Chevron rule, which is administrative agencies should not have so much power to do regulate, to impose sanctions, to be judge and jury, prosecutor, judge and jury. One of the things that has to just jump out at you is this. As Mr. Groh expressed, the exceptions to the known and suspected terrorists, they never get screened at the border or by TSA because they are never supposed to find out that they are on the list.
There are 6 findings in this report. There are at least 22 different mechanisms that might lead Americans to receive additional screening. That's number 1 conclusion. Number 2 conclusion, the size of the terrorist watch list has increased dramatically. Number 3 conclusion, the executive branch watch lists more than terrorists. The process is opaque. Number 4 conclusion, the non-government entities have access to terrorist watch list data. Number 5, the executive branch is not holistically assessing whether discrimination is occurring across full screen enterprise. Number 6, the process of redress is not transparent. So these are 6 main findings in this report. On page 9, you draw our attention to this sentence. Specifically, both the Federal Bureau of Investigation and the Department of Homeland Security failed to fully provide responsive documents and information that the committee requested.
Well, doesn't that surprise you? I don't know what they requested, but if they did a full disclosure, even under confidential terms, to this committee, that is the Homeland Security Committee, they would be admitting to the commission of crimes. The importance for me, of this report is not just what it says, but what it doesn't say. Because I believe that these Congress people had access to information that they were probably like, what is going on here? And they are going to continue looking onto this and making recommendations and probably enacting legislation to protect Americans. That's why we need to get on this, doing this homework as a priority.